The Galactic Concordance Hall was a whirlwind of chaos as Ambassador Lila Chen strode through its shimmering, iridescent gates. The air buzzed with the hum of a dozen alien dialects, each more agitated than the last. 3-star systems had gone dark. A diplomatic summit had devolved into a shouting match broadcast across the cosmos, and now, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Would they be welcomed as galactic partners or branded as the universe's most chaotic party crashers? The hall itself was a spectacle, a dome of liquid starlight that pulsed with the emotions of its occupants. Right now, it was a frantic swirl of electric blue and stormy gray, reflecting the collective anxiety of the 52 species gathered within. Lila adjusted her sleek, nano-woven diplomatic suit, which shimmered subtly to match the hall's mood, and stepped into the spotlight. Ambassador Chen, boomed a voice like a thunderstorm trapped in a tin can. It was Zorth, the Concordance's chair, a hulking creature resembling a cross between a rhinoceros and a particularly grumpy supercomputer. Explain why the Orion Nexus is now a no-fly zone and why my homeworld's moons are singing opera. Lila flashed a grin, unfazed. Chairman Zorth, esteemed delegates, I assure you, humanity meant no harm. We were just spreading a little joy. A ripple of snorts, clicks, and what might have been alien laughter echoed through the hall. The walls flickered to a skeptical shade of orange. Counselor Vixera, a being who looked like a floating chandelier with a PhD in sarcasm, raised a glowing tendril. Ambassador, your joy caused a gravitational hiccup that turned the Nexus into a cosmic disco ball. Our ships are dodging light chows instead of asteroids. Lila nodded, her expression earnest, but with a twinkle in her eye. A minor miscalculation, Counselor. We were testing anew. Let's call it a vibe enhancer. It was supposed to boost morale across the sector. Morale. Barked Thrime, a delegate resembling a sentient cactus with a temper. Your vibe enhancer rewrote the local star charts. Planets are waltzing in orbits they've never heard of. Only temporarily, Lila said, holding up a hand. We fixed it. Mostly, the planets are back in their original orbits, and they're happier for it. We even taught them a few dance moves. The hall fell silent, save for the faint hum of the atmospheric regulators juggling 52 different breathing requirements. The walls shifted to a bewildered green. Happier planets. Zorth asked, his voice dripping with disbelief. You're saying you made celestial bodies happy? Well, Lila said, we noticed the Nexus planets were a bit grumpy, all that cosmic radiation, no social life. So, we introduced a harmonic resonance field to cheer them up. It's like a galactic hug. Counselor Clith, a squid-like diplomat with a penchant for dramatics, waved 3 tentacles. A hug that caused a temporal ripple. Our chronometers are still apologizing to each other for losing track of time. Lila's grin widened. We're very sorry about the chronometers, but, in our defense, they're now synchronized to a universal beat. Think of it as the galaxy's first synchronized dance party. The walls pulsed purple, a color the delegates associated with existential confusion. A few species made sounds their translators rendered as what even is this species? Zorth leaned forward, his massive frame casting a shadow over the podium. Let's move on to the moons, my homeworld's moons, Ambassador. They're broadcasting arias across the sector. Explain. Lila cleared her throat, her tone light, but professional. That was our cultural outreach program. We thought your moons could use a bit of personality. So, we gave them a voice, literally, a voice. Squeaked Delegate Pewar, a fluffy creature resembling a sentient cotton ball with anxiety. They're singing about lost love and cosmic despair. Our poets are unemployed, and our therapists are overbooked. Artistic expression is healthy, Lila countered. We programmed the moons with a selection of human operas, tweaked for lunar acoustics. They're a hit. The moons are trending on your planet's social networks. Trending. Zorth roared. They've formed a choir. They're demanding royalties. Lila tilted her head, feigning surprise. Royalties? That's fantastic. They're already contributing to your economy. We can help negotiate their contracts if you'd like. The walls flared red, streaked with gold veins of exasperation. Delegate Solara, a crystalline entity who vibrated when annoyed, chimed in. Ambassador, your species turned inanimate celestial bodies into divas. How is this helpful? It's community building, Lila said cheerfully. The moons were lonely, orbiting in silence for eons. Now they're part of the galactic conversation. Plus, their harmonies are improving local weather patterns. Improving, Cliff spluttered. Our oceans are sensing their tides to the beat of Carmen. Catchy, isn't it? Lila said, winking. We're working on a remix to stabilize the tides. Maybe something with a jazz vibe. The hall erupted in a cacophony of alien protests, each delegate trying to outshout the others. The walls cycled through colors so fast it looked like a cosmic rave. Zorth slammed a massive claw on his podium, silencing the chaos. Enough. Ambassador, let's discuss the Nebula Raiders. For centuries, they've terrorized trade routes. The newer species shows up, and now they're, what, hosting game shows. Lila's eyes sparkled with mischief. Not just game shows. Chairman, they're running a full-on entertainment network. We call it Nebula's Got Talent. The delegates gasped in unison. The walls turned a shade of pink that suggested the galaxy was blushing. Game shows? Vixer asked, her tendrils flickering like a malfunctioning neon sign. You turned bloodthirsty pirates into reality TV stars. They were bored, Lila said with a shrug. Piracy is repetitive still. Run, repeat. We introduced them to human entertainment. They loved it. Now they're competing in talent contests, baking competitions, and interpretive dance battles. Baking, Thrime sputtered, spines quivering. They baked a cake that exploded in our ambassador's face. A misunderstanding. Lila said quickly, it was a surprise cake. We're still working on their aim. But their ratings are through the roof, and piracy is down 97%. Delegate P wore fluffed up in agitation. They're selling merchandise. T-shirts that say, I survived Nebula's Got Talent are flooding our markets. That's entrepreneurship. Lila exclaimed. They're contributing to the galactic economy. Plus, their dance routines are inspiring cross-species collaborations. You should see their Zumba class. It's intergalactic. The walls pulsed a hopeful blue, but streaks of skeptical yellow lingered. Zorth rubbed his temples, a gesture that transcended species. Ambassador, your species' idea of help is giving us migraines. Zorth continued, his voice weary. Let's review humanity's application for Concordance membership. You've requested access to trade networks, joint research programs, and the right to host galaxy-wide karaoke nights. Lila nodded enthusiastically. Karaoke is a universal bonding experience. Nothing says we're friends like belting out a ballad with a tentacled stranger. The delegates exchanged glances, their expressions ranging from horrified to morbidly curious. Solar's crystalline form vibrated ominously. Your application also mentions creative defense initiatives. Define creative. Well, Lila said, leaning forward, humans are great at thinking on our feet. For example, when we noticed your ongoing issue with the void wraiths, those pesky interdimensional pests, we didn't just exterminate them, we threw them a party. A party? Cliff asked, tentacles flailing. You invited so leading entities to a party. It was a diplomatic gala, Lila clarified. We served cosmic canapes and played some interdimensional techno. Turns out, the wraiths just wanted to feel included. Now they're our best event planners. The walls flickered to a shade of violet that screamed, this is not how diplomacy works. Vixera's tendrils glowed brighter. You're saying you solved a galactic threat by Jing. And catering, Lila added. Never underestimate the power of a good snack. The wraiths are now hosting monthly raves in the void. Attendance is up, and so leading is down? Zorth's eyes narrowed. Your species' history suggests you evolved on a planet where everything tries to eat, poison, or squash you. How does this translate to galactic citizenship? Lila grinned. Earth taught us resilience. Sure, our planet has hurricanes, volcanoes, and overly enthusiastic wasps, but we also have kittens. We turn saber-toothed cats into house pets. Imagine what we can do with a galaxy. The delegates murmured, their translators struggling with the concept of kitten. The walls pulsed a cautious green. Zorth raised all four claws for silence. Ambassador Chen, the Concordance has reviewed your application. We've studied your chaotic history, your penchant for rewriting physics, and your obsession with turning threats into talent shows. We must decline your membership. Lila's smile didn't waver, but her eyes glinted with something dangerous. Decline. May I ask why? You're too unpredictable, Zorth said. You don't solve problems, you create new ones. Singing moons, dancing planets, pirate TV stars. It's too much. Solara chimed in, her voice like a bell tolling doom. You treat reality like a suggestion. That's not citizenship. That's chaos. Lila tilted her head, her smile growing sharper. I see. So, you're saying you're not ready for humanity's brand of friendship. Friendship, Clith spluttered. You call this friendship? You've disrupted entire ecosystems. Oh, counselor, Lila said, her voice dripping with mock sympathy. That was us being nice. The hall went silent. The walls froze in a shade of gray that no species could interpret. Every delegate leaned forward, waiting for the other shoe to drop. What do you mean? Nice, Zorth asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lila's smile turned into something that made the atmospheric regulators whimper. Everything you've seen, the Nexus Disco, the Singing Moons, the pirate talent show that was humanity playing. By your rules, we were polite, we followed protocol. We even used your paperwork, which, by the way, could use some streamlining. The walls flickered to a shade of red so deep it felt like the universe was holding its breath. Vixra's tendrils dimmed, and if you weren't being nice. Lila leaned forward, her voice low and playful. Let's just say we'd stop worrying about your comfort zones. As if on cue, every communication device in the hall erupted. In a symphony of alerts, screens flickered to life, displaying a star map littered with thousands of blinking lights, human ships, appearing from nowhere. The walls turned a color that translators rendered as impending paradigm shift. What is this? Zorth demanded, claws scrambling over his controls. Just a few friends saying hello, Lila said, clasping her hands behind her back. We're very social. Solar's crystalline form vibrated at a frequency that made nearby delegates wince. Our sensors detect energy signatures that defy known physics. These ships weren't there a moment ago. Humans are great at surprise parties, Lila said. We've had some practice with stealth. And enthusiasm, Clith's tentacles flailed wildly. These ships are generating fields that bend reality. Our scanners can't even categorize them. We've made a few upgrades since our last tech review, Lila said. We like to keep things fresh. The main display zoomed in on the human fleet ships that shimmered like mirages, their hulls pulsing with colors that didn't exist in three-dimensional space. Their weapons, if they could be called that, seemed to emit waves of pure potential. The propulsion systems laughed at causality, and the shields appeared to negotiate with incoming threats rather than block them. Zorth's voice trembled. What are you doing out there? Waiting, Lila said simply. For me to decide if we're all going to be friends. The hall's atmospheric systems groaned under the strain of 52 species hyperventilating. P4's fluff expanded. To twice its size. You're holding the galaxy hostage. Hostage? Lila laughed. No, we're inviting you to the biggest party in the universe. You just haven't our SVPD yet. A new voice cut through the chaos, broadcasting from every speaker in the hall. It was Admiral Maya Patel, her tone warm but firm, like a teacher explaining why you failed a test you didn't know you were taking. Greetings, galactic neighbors, she said. This is Admiral Patel of the Terran Unity Network. We've noticed some confusion about humanity's intentions. We're here to clear things up. The walls pulsed with a pattern that felt like hope wearing a party hat. The delegates froze, their eyes glued to the screens. First, Patel continued, "Humanity has been your neighbor for longer than you think. We've been fixing your problems quietly, politely, without asking for a thank you." "Fixing?" Vixor asked, her tendrils quivering. "What have you fixed?" "Oh, little things," Lila said. "The great nebula fog that vanished overnight. US, the rogue black hole that decided to take a vacation. Also us. The sentient algae that was eating your trade routes until it started. A poetry slam. You're welcome," the delegates gasped. The walls turned a shade of gold that suggested the universe was reevaluating its priorities. Patel's voice continued, calm and confident. "Second, our application for Concordance membership wasn't a request. It was an invitation. We're already part of the galaxy, have been for decades. We just thought it was time to make it official." The main display shifted to a star map so vast it made the Concordance's territory look like a backyard garden. Networks of light-connected star systems, galaxies, and dimensions the delegates hadn't even imagined. Civilizations that had never met were suddenly chatting like old friends. "This is impossible," Zorith whispered. "It's just a matter of perspective," Lila said. "You thought the galaxy was a collection of rival factions. We saw it as a group chat waiting to happen. How many civilizations are out there?" Solar asked, her voice trembling. "About 53,000 species," Lila said, "give or take. Plus a few million cultural subgroups. We're still counting the sentient gas clouds, they're shy." Patel's voice returned. "Third, we've been preparing for this moment since we cracked faster than light travel. We didn't want to overwhelm you, so we took it slow. But now it's time for the galaxy to level up." The screens filled with data streams that made the delegates' heads spin. Technologies that rewrote physics, cultures that spanned dimensions, and economic systems that ran on shared enthusiasm rather than currency. Zorith's claws twitched. "What are you?" "Really?" Lila's smile softened, but it carried the weight of a supernova. "We're the species that looked at a lonely universe and decided it needed a hug. We're the ones who turn enemies into dance partners, problems into parties, and impossibilities into Tuesday afternoons. And if we don't want your hugs," Cliff asked, tentacles drooping, "then we'll keep hugging until you realize you love it," Lila said. "We're very persistent," Patel's voice chimed in. "Final point. The galaxy is now officially invited to the Terran Unity Network. Orientation materials are being uploaded to your systems. Expect some light reading, about 47,000 years worth." The Hall systems groaned under the weight of incoming data. Trade agreements with energy beings, diplomatic protocols for time-reverse species, and party playlists curated by sentient nebulae flooded the screens. "This is too much," P-War squeaked, fluff trembling. "It's just the beginning," Lila said. "The universe is a big place, and it's time we all became friends." The alarm shifted from panic to something else, a melody that resonated with every species in the hall. It wasn't a warning, it was an invitation. Across the galaxy, star systems lit up with streams of light, connecting civilizations that had never met. Planets that had been at war for eons were suddenly hosting potlucks. Species that had never communicated were exchanging memes. "What's happening?" Zorith asked, his voice soft with wonder. "The galaxy's getting a makeover," Lila said. "We've been setting up the infrastructure for years. All those accidents, the dancing planets, the singing moons, the pirate talent shows were just us testing the waters. Now the party's started." The walls displayed a live feed of the transformation. Civilizations collaborated on projects that spanned dimensions. Problems that had seemed insurmountable were solved by teams of species who'd never met before. The galaxy was becoming one big, chaotic, wonderful community. "This is madness," Solara said, but her crystalline form glowed with excitement. "It's humanity," Lila corrected. "We saw a universe full of strangers and decided it needed a group hug. And if someone doesn't want the hug," Vixor asked, Then we throw a better party, Lila said. Nobody resists a good party. The screens showed the galaxy in its new form, a vibrant, interconnected web of friendship and cooperation. Species that had been enemies were now co-authoring cookbooks. Planets that had been silent were hosting open mic nights. Even the void wraiths were planning a galactic festival, complete with interdimensional fireworks. Zorath stood, his claws relaxed for the first time. We misjudged you, Ambassador. We thought you were a threat. You thought we were chaotic, Lila said, grinning. We're just enthusiastically friendly. What happens now? Pior asked, fluff settling. Now we keep the party going, Lila said. There are other galaxies out there, other friends to make, other problems to solve with karaoke and cake. The walls displayed a final message, broadcast in every language, past, present, and future. Welcome to the universe. Let's be friends. And across the cosmos, 53,000 species looked up at the stars and realized they were part of something bigger, something wilder, something that would never stop throwing the best parties in existence. They were part of humanity's vision, a universe where everyone, from planets to pirates, was invited to the dance.